All right, what up, YouTube? Uh, Getting straight into it real quick. I'm done with Isaiah, so I just got up in Jeremiah, and I seen something that I wanted to show y'all that I've been seeing actually, but I'm seeing it in the Old Testament now because it spoke of what was to come. So I kind of want to show y'all something real quick. All right, I'm in Jeremiah. Matter of fact, I think I should just go to John first, real quick. Yeah, let me go to John real quick because I'm gonna connect these real quick. I'm gonna be in John 16. I'm gonna start at 7. John 16:7 says, "Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment." All right, and I'm gonna stop right there real quick. I'm gonna come back and read the rest of this. Not all of it, but some of it. But I'm gonna stop right there though, real quick. And I'm gonna go back to Jeremiah. I'm gonna be in Jeremiah 4. Now remember, I was already telling y'all about John 16. Uh, Matter of fact, this is like my third time back in it. And like I said, this is all we read. So I remember I was here last year, but I remember I was in Peter last year, and I thought I was done with that. But now I'm seeing something in these verses that I already preached on again. But you remember I was telling you about sin, righteousness, and judgment. And I don't want to keep breaking it down, but if I have to, I will. But I'm gonna go to Jeremiah 4 real quick. And I'm gonna start at 1. If thou wilt return, O Israel, saith the Lord, return unto me. And if thou wilt put away thine abominations out of my sight, then shalt thou not remove. And then verse 2 says, And thou shalt swear, the Lord liveth in truth and judgment and in righteousness, and the nations shall bless themselves in him, and in him shall they glory. So I'm gonna be done with reading that right there. But that's what I want to show y'all real quick. It's in Jeremiah 4 in the Old Testament. The Lord told us through Jeremiah, if thou wilt return, O Israel, saith the Lord, return unto me, and if thou wilt put away down the abominations out of my sight, then shalt thou not remove, and thou shalt swear, the Lord liveth in truth and righteousness and in judgment. And that's what Jeremiah was inspired to say through God. If we come back to God and remove those abominations that God don't like, okay, I got a toothache, but and then we gonna realize that God liveth in truth and righteousness and judgment. And then we go back to John 16:8, and it says, and when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and the judgment. All right, but then, yeah, y'all might think I'm tripping a little bit because Jeremiah 4 says that we gonna acknowledge that God liveth in truth and righteousness and judgment. But John 16:8 is talking about sin, righteousness, and judgment. But if we go back and read Jeremiah 4 real quick, it don't say that God liveth in sin, righteousness, and judgment. It said that God liveth in truth and righteousness and judgment, or the way it's put here, in truth and judgment and the righteousness. So it doesn't say exactly what John says, because again, God don't live within sin, but he liveth in truth. But either way, though, if we go back into it, like I said, I'm gonna read the rest of this. I can go to John 16, I can go to 9 real quick. Why is Christ sending the Comforter to prove the world to be in the wrong about sin, righteousness, and judgment? Well, I already told y'all before, but I'm gonna break it down again, because Jeremiah said that we will acknowledge that God liveth in truth, righteousness, and judgment. Not sin, righteousness, and judgment, but of sin. But of sin in John 16:9, of sin because they believe not on me. So now we see how it connects either way. Like I said, it wasn't talking about truth, righteousness, and judgment in John. In John, it was talking about sin, righteousness, and judgment. But it's the same thing, because of sin they believe not on me. They believe not on God, so they sin. But God is the truth. He liveth in truth. So how could you not believe on God? especially when it comes to sin, because we see what sin does. We ain't even got to talk about the sin of murder because we already know if you take somebody that people love, then people gonna want to kill you. And so now we see not only how sin leads to a deterioration of not only the flesh or not only the soul, but vice versa. We see sin killing people in real time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just go ahead because what are some of the sins? Some of the sins, like I said, we ain't gonna talk about murder. That's one of the easy ones. We can talk about a lie. We can see how a lie can cost you your life or even somebody else's. Just think about like how back in them Jim Crow days, like all a white woman had to do was lie and say a black man raped her. And then the whole town and surrounding towns of Caucasians coming to get this black man who was falsely accused of rape, and they all coming to kill him just because of a lie. And even a lot of times, I don't know if I should. I think sometimes when I be doing these little lives, I be getting all off point because it's like whenever I got a little opportunity to go into Black history and teach a little bit of some of that, I do that and I get a little lost, a little sidetracked, whatever. So I'm gonna try to stay on the point. But I think when I do get sidetracked, it's kind of for good reason. I do be dropping some good information. So whatever. But anyway, let me try to just stick on the topic though. But like I said, we can see how sin is killing people in real time, not just in the spirit, because we already know the wages of death. I mean, the wages of sin equal death. But we also see how sin is killing people in the flesh. A lie can cost not only you your life, like I said, but somebody else's life. We can see how adultery, again, can not only cost you your life, but even just dealing with the many STDs that you can contract being adulterous. But we can see how adultery, like God said, leads to death in the spirit, like it always will, sin will. So the comforter, like Jeremiah, Jeremiah didn't mention the comforter directly, but he talked about how God would be coming back to live in truth, righteousness, and judgment, and of truth because they believe not on God, of the truth of sin. And I just showed y'all how all these sins could not just lead you to dying in the spirit, but literally in the flesh. Even just look at at the sin of the LGB stuff. Let me see some. I was looking at some a minute ago, and I seen some. I'm gonna just Google something real quick. Hold on, real quick. All right, so I mean, I kind of feel guilty for looking up this information though, because I'm the first person to get on here and tell you that all these news stations and all these people be lying and all that. So it's kind of like contradictory, like how I'm gonna use their data, their little data, stats or whatever, to show y'all what I'm saying. But let me just show y'all something real quick. Right here, Washington Post says HIV rates remain stubbornly high in Mississippi despite falling cases around the U.S. or across the U.S. And this came out in 2021. And then hold on, my bad. Like I said, it's been a minute since I looked at this information, so I just got to do a little bit of research real quick. I'm trying to show y'all something. Whatever, I ain't finding the numbers I'm looking for. But either way, though, they saying that AIDS remains high in Mississippi and all that. Let me just go to one that's updated though, 'cause this from 2017 or something. I'm trying to find one at least from 2020 or 19 or something. Whatever, I can't find what I was looking for. I know a minute ago, like I said, I've been reading about how like they've been saying the HIV and stuff was high in the South, and I was wondering like, was they planting that stuff out there, or whatever. I mean, I don't want to accuse them of everything. I mean, and then God did tell us that diseases and stuff will be around. So I mean, it ain't like that diseases don't exist. But either way, though, this is from the NPR. This came out in 2019. Though it talks about why men in Mississippi are still dying of AIDS despite existing treatments. And then it talks about how President Trump has pledged to eliminate HIV in America by 2030. But in the South, rates of HIV and AIDS among Black, gay, and bisexual men remain stubbornly high. So, whatever. Like I said, I couldn't find the numbers on it, but you see how they talking about AIDS is big in the South, but in the South, it's even bigger amongst the LGBT population. And again, like I was saying, going back to sin, righteousness, and judgment, we can see what it be the sin of lying. It can cost you or somebody else that like the sin of adultery, sin of murder, even the sin of being LGBT can lead to you dying in the flesh. And matter of fact, I think I want to hit on something else with that, but not just in the flesh, but of course in the spirit, since God said it's a sin. We know that the wages of sin equal death. But either way, though, Jeremiah said that we would acknowledge that God liveth. Because, matter of fact, let me just finish this real quick. The sin because they believe not on him. And that's why God is being proven to liveth in the truth of righteousness because he go to the Father and ye see him no more. Remember, I don't want to keep explaining this, but, it was righteous for God to sacrifice Christ so that we may live. Of judgment because the prince of this world is now judged. And I just want to hit on that real quick on the judgment. Because just think about this, like I was just saying, like back in the days, like in the Jim Crow days, all he had to do was really say a Black man raped a white woman or something, and then he pretty much get murdered on the spot, pretty much. And so for a minute, like, I don't want to say our ancestors, but our parents, great grandparents, and all was really hoping like the world can really see like who the aggressor in this situation really is, because America really did a good job of painting Black people out to look like real savages and all that, like they said we were, and all that. And so, for a long time, like a matter of fact, if you read a couple of them slave narratives and all that stuff, there you will hear like you can read about how like some of the slaves was like, I believe in God and I want him to get justice for us right now. They was saying stuff like that. It was some slaves, that was, pretty much like, forget them for they know not what they do. But then there was others like, God, please come and get revenge on these people right now. And that's the judgment that the Bible is talking about. The prince of this world is now staying judged. Who is the prince of this world? Well, the Bill Gates who talking about your population is too high in Africa and all that. He ain't going over there to Russia telling them people they having too many kids. You see what I'm saying? He only going to these Black populations telling Black people and all this stuff. It's too many people being born, all that. Then the prince, whatever, whoever it was, William, Charles, whoever it was over there in England talking about it's too many. Like I said, if y'all been watching me, I know what I'm talking about. They've been talking about so many Black people over in Africa, need to be more animals and all that. And then just with this whole coronavirus stuff they talking about, like, but either way, like I was saying, the prince of this world now stands judged. Whether that was from the George Floyd case or whatever, like we can see now how these people come together in these little Bilderberg meetings and these little G7 summits they keep having every year. And obviously they talking about stuff like the Great Reset and the Great Economic Reset and all this other stuff that ain't. I'm gonna just say this. In the history of America planning stuff, when has they ever had Black people's interests in the best interest of everybody? They never had our best interests in their plans. I can put it that way. So with them coming around talking about the Great Reset and all this other stuff, and they popping up with a vaccine at the same time, talking about the Great Reset, and I'm gonna talk about that real quick. Like I said, I want this to be quick, but my idea quick being be like 5 to 15 minutes. But like I said, if I can go off teaching a little bit about Black history, whatever, I do that. But and it'll probably make it a little bit longer, but whatever. But of judgment, like I was saying, the prince of this world now stands judged. Like Jeremiah 4 was saying, we gonna know that the Lord liveth. Matter of fact, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because in Jeremiah, you gotta remember a lot of those times. Matter of fact, let me go ahead real quick. But what I was gonna say is, during those times and all that, when Jerusalem was getting destroyed back to back and all this stuff, we had to rebuild, and we was going, in into slavery. Pretty much, when I say slavery, I don't really mean how the slavery was in America, but pretty much going into bondage to the Philistines and all them other nations. We were crying out to God in judgment, asking God to judge righteously because we know, we don't deserve this and all that. And now, like I'm saying, Jeremiah 4 is talking about God living in truth and righteousness and judgment. And this is that judgment that, like I said, the ancestors, great grandparents, and all them was calling on during those days and all that when we know things were taking place unrighteously in this country. I mean, it still is, but really, really, really during those days. But of judgment because the prince of this world is now judged. And like I said, you can just matter of fact, let me say this real quick. I think I hit y'all with this before, but this is just prove the point. I don't think I'm gonna have to say nothing else after this. But when I was doing my research for my first poem, I came across a few terms that I thought I was gonna use them all in the poem. But one of them, the Drapetomania, I put in there, but it was another one I looked up called Black Peril, and y'all can look it up, Black Peril. And basically, what this was, like I said, I think I told you about this before. I'm not sure, but if I didn't, hear this right now. But Black Peril was basically it was a term I think the South Africans came up, not the South Africans, but the Caucasians who went and colonized South Africa, them South Africans, they came up with this term called Black Peril, and they basically said it was basically what they said this term was like the term drapetomania they made up this other term called black peril, and they said black men just running around desiring to just rape white women all day and all this and all that. And now this is the judgment I'm talking about though, because they convinced the whole world that we like you. Matter of fact, I was watching this documentary and it was talking about the Vietnam War. And it was some black soldiers talking about how they went to Vietnam, and them people couldn't even speak English, but they knew how to call them a nigga. And then, this was back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and all that. So you see what I'm saying though? You know, they convinced the whole world that we just some crazy savage niggas and all that. And the whole time, what our ancestors and grandparents really wanted to happen was the judgment of who's really the savage and the ignorant savage. Our grandparents, ancestors really wanted that knowledge and that judgment to be righteously put out upon the rest of the earth instead of everybody thinking that we were the crazy savages and all that. But like I was saying, though, that term that term black peril, like I said, the South Africans, the Caucasian South Africans came up with the term when they went over there and they colonized it. And they basically said what it was black men basically desiring to rape white women and all this stuff and all that. And that's basically what I'm talking about, the judgment. They done so good, pretty much making up a lie about us and selling it to the rest of the world. The whole world just straight up believe them. Like they never would have thought that the people accusing us of these things are actually the ones doing these things. Like I said, if you don't believe what's what, just turn on the. Like I said, I'm doing some research and this little porn stuff I'm looking at right now because there's a lot of symbolism I'm seeing. And I'm trying to piece together something, but I ain't gonna say it might take a while. And if it do, I might as well just stop looking at it because I don't know if I'm gonna ever figure out what I'm trying to figure out. But it's something I'm definitely seeing. But either way, though, like I was saying, the judgment though, like I was saying, with the way they pretty much convinced the whole world that we were lazy rapists running around trying to get everybody and all that. The judgment of the world has now been turned on them, and now the prince of this world who claiming we are overpopulated and stuff, and now that judgment is coming back on him. You see what I'm saying? Everything they accused us of, being murderers and all this stuff. You see what I'm saying? So I forgot where I was finna go after this, but I was finna go somewhere else after this. But yeah, but like, let me just finish this out though. This thought real quick. Talking about Jeremiah 4, because we see that the Lord liveth in truth, righteousness, and judgment. And Christ said that's why He was sending the Comforter back to prove the world to be in the wrong about sin, because God is the truth about sin, since the world believe on Him not. And then about righteousness, because Christ went to the Father, and about judgment, because the prince of this world is now judged about everything they tried to judge us, Israel, like Jeremiah 4. says, if thou wilt return, O Israel, saith the Lord, black people, for everything they tried to convince the prince of this world, for everything they tried to convince and judge us about, now those same judgments are coming back on their head. And now everybody's seeing it in real time. But yeah, John 16 pretty much just, connecting with Jeremiah 4, of course, like it was gonna happen because the word of God lives forever. So of course we're gonna see the God live in truth and judgment and in righteousness. But like I said, I forgot what I was gonna go after this, so I might just end this real quick. But damn, let me see. Let me take a minute real quick. Sin, righteousness, and judgment. Yeah, I think that's what I was gonna say. I think I already said it, but yeah, I think I might be it though with that. I don't think I got nothing else. If I feel like I got something, I'm probably just force it, and I'm gonna just sound a little crazy though. So that's pretty much it though. Definitely sin because they believe on me not, and the Lord liveth in truth, and He's right about sin. We see that all the sins that He said that we commit, that they not only lead to death in the flesh, I mean death in the spirit, but literally death in the flesh. Like we can see people dying from the sins they commit of righteousness because Christ went back to the Father. Jeremiah said that he was going to come back and prove the world to not being right about, I mean, not prove the world that he liveth in truth about sin, but also righteousness. We know what he was talking about then, but now we know. And then the judgment because the prince of the world is now judged. So that's really what that, that's really all I was going to say about that. But I remember something else I was going to say, so let me just hit that real quick. Matter of fact, I ain't got to. I think I'll be done with it. I think I got the point across, and if I don't, I'll just make it part of a part two whenever I get back on here. So that's all I got. I'm out.